good intentions. I ask Allah to make this easy for myself and for you. Alright, we are going over a literal breakdown of the summary of obligatory knowledge. Did we cover number 2? You mean the second type of apostasy? We did not. We're going to cover that today, insha'Allah ta'ala. So let's get started. We have a lot to cover. I don't think we're going to be able to finish the third type of apostasy today, though I'd like to. So the author, may Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala have mercy upon him and reward him for benefiting us, said, وَالْقِسْمُ الثَّانِي الْأَفْعَالِ, and the second division is the actions or the doings. كَسُجُودٍ لِصَنَمٍ, like a prostration to an idol. O shamsin, or a sun. O qamarin, or a moon. So I don't know why the shaykh expressed himself like that. I mean, why did the shaykh mention the shams and the qamar, the sun and the moon, indefinitely? As if he's saying, kasujudin, like a prostration, li sanamin, to an idol. O shamsin, or a sun. O qamarin, or a moon. Why he said it like that, I do not know. But there's only one sun, actually, and one moon, and there are stars, and the sun is not a star, and the stars are not suns. That's what the kuffar say. That's not what we say. So this is the second category of apostasy, of blasphemy, things that take a person out of Islam. Like a prostration to an idol, or a sun, or a moon. وَكَذَلِكَ السُّجُودُ لِمَخْلُوقٍ آخَرٍ. And like that, yani likewise, the prostration to a creation, to another creation. لِمَخْلُوقٍ آخَرٍ, to another creation. And likewise, it's apostasy to prostrate to another creation. على وجه عبادته, على وجه عبادته, in the way of worshiping that creation. But actually, here, this statement of the shaykh, على وجه عبادته, also here, if the shaykh meant something in particular, perhaps the shaykh meant something here that I am not aware of and I never understood or heard. The reason I'm saying that is because the rule is, as the shaykh taught us himself, radiyallahu anhu, prostrating to any creation other than a human being is kufr without details. As for prostrating to a human being, it could be kufr or it might not be kufr. It could be blasphemy or might not be blasphemy. As for prostrating to anything other than a human being, it is any creation other than a human being, it is blasphemy without details. Without details. So when the shaykh said ala wajhi ibadatihi, in the way of worshiping it, as if that's a signal to that there's details, meaning, what if it wasn't in the way of worshiping that one? What if the prostration was not in the way of worshiping that creation? So what we learned is that it's kufr to prostrate to a creation other than a human, and there's no details there. So here, if you want, ask, why did the shaykh say ala wajhi ibadati, in the way of worshiping it? He says, may Allah have mercy on him, amma sujudu li insan, as for the prostration to a human, tahiyatan, as a salute, فَإِنَّهُ يَحْرُمُ فِي شَرْعِنَا, indeed that is forbidden in our law, in our sacred law, in our shara'. The shara' is the revealed law or the sacred law. You can call it also shari'ah. There's an ayn in there. When the kuffar say it, they say sharia. They miss the ayn, of course. So don't miss it. Shari'ah. And there's a ya. Shari'ah. Even some Muslims, they say sharia like that. Say shari'ah. Or say shara'. Ash-shara'. How do you translate shari'ah into English? I would say sacred law, or religious law, or even religion. Sometimes means religion, Islam yani. Islamic religion specifically, not any religion. So, amma sujudu li insan, as for the prostration to a human, tahiyya, as a salute, فَإِنَّهُ يَحْرُمُ فِي شَرْعِنَا, indeed it is forbidden in our shara', yani in our sacred law, the one revealed to Muhammad. وَكَانَ جَائِزًا, and it was permissible or permitted, فِي شَرْعِ مَنْ سَبَقَ, in the shara', the sacred law of who was prior or who preceded. Who? Min al-anbiya, amongst the prophets before Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Like what? Kasujudil malaikati li Adam, like the prostration of the angels to Adam. فَإِنَّهُ كَانَ عَلَى وَجْهِ التَّحِيَّةِ, for indeed it was in the way of salute. أَمَّا السُّجُودُ لِلصَّنَمِ, as for the prostration to the idol, وَالشَّمْسِ وَالْقَمَرِ, and the sun and the moon, فَهُوَ كُفْرٌ مُطْلَقًا, it is blasphemy absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. وَكَذَلِكَ السُّجُودُ بَعْضِ النَّاسِ, and likewise the prostration of some people, الَّذِينَ يَتَعَلَّمُونَ السِّحْرَ, those who learn magic or sorcery or wizardry. الذين يتعلمون السحر للشيطان, يعني they're prostrating to the devil. As for the prostration of some people who learn magic to the devil, so للشيطان, to the devil, goes all the way back to the word sujud. So notice here how many words are between the word sujud and lishaitan, prostrating to the devil. Sujud, prostrating, like وَكَذَلِكَ سُجُودُ بَعْضِ النَّاسِ الَّذِينَ يَتَعَلَّمُونَ السِّحْرَ لِلشَّيْطَانِ. It doesn't mean some people learn magic for the devil. No, it's saying, and likewise, the prostration of some people who learn magic to the devil, yani their prostration to the devil. So, for those of you who are studying Arabic, uh, nice pointer for you. I got a chance to point it out for you. Whenever you have a harf jar, a prepositional particle, you need to know what it's linked to. It's going to be linked to something, it's going to be linked to a verb or something that has the hint of a verb, has the whiff of a verb. Here, sujud has the whiff of a verb because it's the name of an action. So even though it's a noun, sujud, this is the ism here, a nominal, but it has the whiff of a noun, of a verb, subhanAllah. It has the whiff of a verb in it. So that's why that lam and li shaitan can link back to it. You always want to trace your prepositional particle, your harf jar, back to something in the sentence that's like a verb. Or else you need to imply. You have to figure out an implied verb. Like when we say Bismillah. Bismi, what's that ba linked to? In the name of God. It has to be linked to a verb or something that has the whiff of a verb. Like I start with the name of God. Or my start is with the name of God, for example. So here, وَكَذَلِكَ سُجُودُ بَعْضِ النَّاسِ لِلشَّيْطَانِ. So the shaykh is saying, and likewise, the prostration of some people to the devil. Who are those people? What do they do? الَّذِينَ يَتَعَلَّمُونَ السِّحْرِ. Those who learn magic. What's the judgment of their prostration? Kufrun mutlaqa. It's blasphemy, absolutely. وَالْقِسْمُ الثَّالِثُ الْأَقْوَالِ. And the third division of apostasy is the sayings. وَهِيَ كَثِيرَةٌ جِدًّا. And they are very numerous, very many. And they are very many. وَهِيَ كَثِيرَةٌ. And they are many. جِدًّا, very. يعني very many. لَا تَنْحَصِرْ. They are not limited. They are not limited. That means, why they're not limited? Because of how many different things that could be said. How many ways, how many things that could be said. So that's why this type, it has no limit. Minha an yaqula li muslimin. Among them is that he says, meaning someone says, one says, and yaqula, that one says, li muslim, to a Muslim, ya kafir, oh blasphemer, or oh disbeliever, oh ya Yahudi, or oh Jew, oh ya Nasrani, or oh Christian. So he says that to a Muslim. Oh ya Adim ad-Din, or oh you irreligious one. Muridan bidhalik, and he means by that, the one who says that means by that, أن الذي عليه المخاطب من الدين is that which الذي, that which عليه المخاطب, upon it is the addressee min ad-din, of religion, that which the addressee is upon of religion is kufr, blasphemy. That's what he means by these statements. He means that you, the one I'm speaking to, your religion is blasphemy. Oh Yahudiyah, or Judaism. Oh Nasraniyah, or Christianity. Oh Laysa bidin, or it's not a religion at all. It's not at all a religion. Laysa bideen. That ba in bideen that emphasizes the negation. It could say laysa dinan, but it's there to emphasize the negation. Laysa bideen. That ba right there that emphasizes the negation, that's like the kaf in laysa kamithlihi shay. It's there to emphasize the negation. Laysa kamithlihi shay. Laysa bideen. Or he's saying it's not at all a religion. It's not any religion. That's what he means. La ala qasdi tashbih. Not on, and he didn't say it with, the intention of similitude, of drawing similarity. Now this is an important case here. We need to pause, and I'll try to keep it brief, inshallah. Let's just say it simply. Sometimes a person calls another a name, and he means to liken that one, and he doesn't mean to confirm that that one is actually what he's calling him. You need to know that. That's true. That's in Arabic and that's in English. So for example, because this will relieve you, what if someone said about a girl, oh, she's an angel, or even a boy, a human, but let's just say a girl. Someone said, oh, she's an angel. And we know what's in the Quran about the people who said about the angels that they are females in particular. They're not males either. So what are you going to do? Here it means she's like an angel. That's what it means. She's likened, the speaker is likening that one in beauty. Because of the beauty. That's why. Because angels, it's in the human associates the angels with beauty. That's why. They're not saying it's really an angel. Also, it came in the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, any woman who goes out of her house perfumed so that men would find her scent, فَهِيَ زَانِيَةٌ, then she's a fornicator or an adulteress. So what if she never committed any zina? Then she's not actually one. So then what does the hadith mean? It means she's like that. She's like that. And people do that all the time. So someone might say to a boy, you're a girl. What does he mean? He means you act like. So some of our brothers and sisters here, and all these examples I gave you, even the last one, if he said to a boy, you're a girl, they'd say, oh, now we're going to have to call the shaykh and find out your judgment. I'm not a girl. See if you committed kufr. And remember a very important rule also that should help you. All the cases of kufr, all of them go back to contradicting the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not simply because someone said something that's wrong that he committed kufr. Like if he called a boy a girl, doesn't mean that he's actually contradicting the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So try to understand these rules of blasphemy so that you won't be like those people who suffer from the whispers. Because those people have a very bad calamity. Sometimes a person means to liken someone. That's going to be because of their behavior or because of their appearance, for example. So that's why the shaykh said, let's look at his statement again. He said, muridan bidhalika, what he means by that, meaning by that, intending by that for the shaykh to say that one says to the Muslim, "O kafir, O Jew, O Christian, or O irreligious one," meaning by that, so that part here, muridan bidhalika, meaning by that, that's the indication that such a statement could be taken in more than one way. Because if it couldn't be taken in more than one way, it wouldn't mean what it wouldn't matter what the person means. If the statement could not be taken in more than one way in the language, it would not matter what the person means by it. Because it's not valid to take an explicit statement and then alter its meaning, to tailor its meaning to something that you intend personally. So had this been explicit, having one meaning only, then normally the shaykh wouldn't say here muridan bidhalika, he means by that. He would have said yafhamu, he understands from it. That's what he thinks it means. So we'll come back to that inshallah. So for someone, and yaqula li Muslim, for one to say to a Muslim, Ya kafir, O blasphemer, O ya Yahudi, or O Jew, O ya Nasrani, or O Christian, O ya adim ad-din, or O irreligious one, muridan bidhalika, meaning by that. So there's more than one way to take it. So which way does he mean it? And alladhi, that which alayhi al-mukhatabu min ad-din, upon it the addressee is of religion. Yani, he means that which the addressee is upon of religion is kufr, blasphemy. O Yahudiyah, or Judaism. O Nasraniyah, or Christianity. O laysa bidin, or it's not any religion. That's what he means, and so he commits blasphemy. La ala qasdi tashbih, not if he meant it with the intent of likening, because that's a valid mode of speech, a valid way of speech. Is basically a metaphor. That's what they call it in English. They say in English that a metaphor is to liken something to something else without the use of a word of resemblance. Like to say, Zayd is a lion. That's called metaphor. Not Zayd is like a lion. Zayd is a lion. So he's likening. So likewise, if someone said to a Muslim, "Hey Jew, you Jew," and he means to liken him for something in his behavior. Also, if he calls him a Jew, for example, and he means to refer to him by the religion that he used to be upon, that's haram. That's haram. Or he says to him, "Oh, alcoholic," for example. This is not a case of kufr, but it's just this mas'ala here I'm adding for you for your benefit. Like if he said, "Oh, alcoholic," and he's not an alcoholic anymore. He used to be. Or he was a drug addict. So he said, hey, crackhead." He's not a crackhead anymore. So that's haram. That's haram. So also if that was done in religion, with the religion. So if he said to someone who used to be a Jew and became a Muslim, "Hey Jew," to be mean to him, that's haram, not kufr. Haram. وَكَالسُّخْرِيَّةِ بِاسْمٍ مِّنْ أَسْمَائِهِ تَعَالَى, and like belittling or demeaning, or even sacrilege, but let's just stick to belittling and demeaning, and like belittling a name among his names, asma'ihi, a name among his names, ta'ala, exalted is he. Like what? Like to say Ar-Rahman is not a nice name, knowing that that's a name of God. That's blasphemy. Aw-Wa'dihi, or belittling his promise. His promise is to admit the believers, those who die as believers, to paradise, either without torture or with previous torture. But he must indubitably enter paradise. That's the promise of Allah. So if he belittles his promise, aw-wa'idih, or his threat is to punish the sinners. Mimman, from who, la yakhfa alayhi, it's not hidden from him, nisbatu dhalika ilayhi, the attribution of that to him with a capital H, which is to Allah. Subhanah, glorified he is. And like belittling a name among the names, that's how they say it in Arabic. So it's like saying in English, any of the names. So, and like belittling any of the names, any of his names, bismin min asma'ihi, any of his names, ta'ala, exalted is he, or wa'dihi, or wa'idihi, or belittling his promise or his threat. Who does that apply to? ممن لا يخفى عليه نسبة ذلك إليه, from whom it is not hidden from him, from whom it is not hidden from him the attribution of that to him, meaning to God. Subhanah, glorified is he. You said, speaking of Rahman, many people have the last name Rahman. Can we call them? No, you cannot. That's haram. Call them Abdur Rahman or Amatur Rahman. Abdur Rahman for a male, Amatur Rahman for a female. Jabbar is not one of the names that is specific to Allah. وَكَأَنْ يَقُولُ, and like for one to say, لَوْ أَمَرَنِي اللَّهُ بِكَذَا, had Allah commanded me with such and such, لَمْ أَفْعَلْ, I wouldn't do it. So here's a very good example. All these examples that the shaykh gave, every single one of them has a purpose. Add to these the shaykh's entire chapter of blasphemy and apostasy from the Sirat. He gives many examples, right? Every one of those examples has a reason. All these cases have reasons. You need to know what's the point behind this. Is the shaykh, it didn't just throw out examples. This is kufr, this is kufr, and this is kufr. Rather, he gave examples, and every example is a lesson for you to learn. Take all these examples and add to them the cases that he mentioned in As-Sirat. Know all of the points behind those, the reason, the point behind each one of those examples, so that you can identify most of the blasphemy and that you encounter, and so that you can relieve yourself of things that are not explicit blasphemy or not blasphemy at all. So here, had one said, "Lo amarani Allahu bi katha lam af'alh," had one said, "If Allah were to command me with such and such, I would not do it." What's the lesson here? The lesson here is for you to identify a statement that can be taken more than one way. It's not explicit. This statement is not explicit. So one might say, how is that not explicit? Isn't he belittling the command of Allah? It's not explicit because he could mean, I wouldn't do it because I'm such a bad Muslim. He could mean, I wouldn't do it because that's dumb, that's a dumb command, then it would be kufr. But he could mean, I wouldn't do it because I'm a bad Muslim, then it's not kufr. So then what's the judgment? If someone were to ask me, if someone said to me, had Allah commanded me with such and such, I wouldn't do it, what's the judgment? The answer I would give is to say it's not explicit blasphemy. I wouldn't say it's not blasphemy. And I wouldn't say it's blasphemy. I would say it's not explicit blasphemy. And some people, they don't understand that answer also. Most people do, though, most of our brothers and sisters. If they ask me and I said it's not explicit blasphemy, most of the time they understand the answer. But sometimes someone still doesn't understand. So, subhanallah. So then that needs to be clarified for the person. Oh, لو صارت القبلة في جهة كذا. Or, had someone said, if the Qibla became in such and such direction, ما صليت إليها, I would not pray towards it. This is the same case as the first one. It's the same case. Two different sentences, same exact judgment. It's not explicit blasphemy if someone were to say, had the Qibla been such and such direction, I would not face it. It's not explicit because if he means I wouldn't face it because that's dumb, then that's blasphemy. But if he means I wouldn't face it because of how bad of a Muslim I am, then it wouldn't be blasphemy. Shaykh says, Oh, لو أعطاني الله الجنة. Or, had someone said, had Allah given me paradise, ما دخلتها, I would not enter it. Same judgment as the previous two. Because he possibly is saying to you just the extent of how bad of a Muslim he is, how much he's falling short as a Muslim. He might be saying to you, I'm such a bad Muslim that if Allah gave me paradise, I wouldn't enter it. So say to him, don't say that, but don't call him a kafir. And the proof here that the shaykh doesn't deem these statements as explicit blasphemy is that he said mustakhifan. He said those statements out of belittling. Mustakhifan. He said those three mustakhifan, out of belittlement. Meaning, there's possibly another way he could have said them. So it's not explicit. So the shaykh is telling you which way it's going to be blasphemy if he said it out of istighfaf, out of belittling. So the shaykh, he gave us a signal that these statements can be taken in more than one way. Because he said mustakhifan. He said those statements out of belittling. So there's a hint in that as if he's saying, It could be said in another way. So which way would be the blasphemy way when he said it mustakhifan, out of belittlement? Oh, muvhiran lil'inad, or showing outwardly the obstinacy, the stubbornness. Meaning he just doesn't like it and he doesn't acknowledge it. He's showing his disdain for it. Then it will be blasphemy. وَكَأَنْ يَقُولُ, and like if one were to say, لَوْ أَخَذَنِي اللَّهُ بِتَرْكِ الصَّلَاةِ, had Allah punished me for abandoning the prayer, مَعَ مَا أَنَا فِيهِ مِنَ الْمَرَضِ, despite what I suffer from of sickness, ظَلَمَنِي, he would wrong me. That's explicit blasphemy. So now the Shaykh gave us an example of something that has no other way of explaining it. So you know then, brothers and sisters, that blasphemous statements are of two types. Explicit, those are the ones that have no other meaning according to the language. And apparent, those are the statements that seem to be blasphemy but could possibly be not blasphemy. This one is explicit. And then the Shaykh said, أو قال لفعل حدث هذا بغير تقدير الله, or one said about some action, this happened without the destining of God. That's also explicit blasphemy, like the one before it. To say about something that had happened without the will of God. Oh, or had someone said, لو شهد عندي الأنبياء, had the prophets testified in my presence, أو الملائكة, or the angels, أو جميع المسلمين, or all of the Muslims, بكذا, about such and such, ما قبلتهم, I would not accept them. That's also explicit blasphemy, like the previous two. Oh, call, or for one to say, لا أفعل كذا, I will not do such and such. وإن كان sunnah, even if it were a sunnah, a religiously recommended matter. What's the judgment of that? Not explicit blasphemy. Not explicit. Because it's possible that someone says, I will not do that even if it's sunnah, meaning I won't do it because you told me to, even if it's sunnah. It's because you told me to is why I won't do it, not because it's sunnah. So then, it's not blasphemy if he said it that way. But also the Shaykh gave us an indication that it's not explicit. That's why he said, بِقَصْدِ الْإِسْتِهْزَاءِ, with the intention of belittling. Because it's possible to say that statement with a different intention that's not kufr. أو لو كان فلان نبيا ما آمنت به, or had someone said, had so-and-so been a prophet, I would not accept, I would not believe in him. I would not believe in him. That's explicit blasphemy. Has no other interpretation. To say, had so-and-so been a prophet, I wouldn't believe in him. Why would someone say something like that? To express to you how much he doesn't trust someone. So he wants to give you the most exaggerated, amplified example he can think of. He said, that guy is such a scoundrel. Had he been a prophet, I wouldn't believe in him. That's kufr. أو أعطاه عالم فتوى, if or if a scholar gave him a verdict, an answer, فقال, and then one said, أيش هذا الشرع, what kind of law is this, or what kind of rule is this? مريدا الاستخفاف بحكم الشرع, and he means by it to belittle the judgment of the sacred law. So again here, by the shaykh saying, what he means by it is this, that's an indication that it's not explicit, because he could mean by it something else. Like, maybe he means, why are you lying and saying this is the religious law? What kind of law is this? What kind of rule is this? This is not the religious judgment. So it's not explicit blasphemy. Al-istihza is belittling, demeaning. Tayyib, we were on a roll there. This next case. All right, I'm going to say this next case now because it's important. It's just going to take us over our time a little bit. Inshallah, you'll be patient with me. Shaykh says, rahimahullah, أو قال, or if one were to say, La'natullahi ala kulli alim, may the dam of God be upon every scholar. Muridan al-istighraq al-shamil, and he means by it absolutely, how to say it that way. Istighraq means all-inclusiveness, all-including, and shamil means inclusive, including. So he means absolutely all of them. So here, when the shaykh said, he means by it absolutely all of them, that's an indication that there is a way that he could mean something else. What's his statement? His statement is, may the dam of God be upon every scholar. Well, how could he mean something else other than what he said here? How's that possible? By a clue. In other words, the general statement, sometimes you say a general statement, but you mean something that's more specific than your words indicate. Like, didn't the Prophet say, وَكُلُّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ, every innovation is misguidance, but the good innovations are not included in that hadith? So it's possible that someone would say a general statement and the generality of his statement is not intended, is not meant, but that will need evidence. Such a case of general statements need, in order for it to be said that the generality of the general statement was not meant, there has to be evidence for that. What would be the evidence for that? The context. The context. That means the situation. The situation at hand when that statement was said. That will be the clue for you. So let me read what the shaykh said. He said, أَمَّا مَنْ لَمْ يُرِدِ الْإِسْتِغْرَاقَ الشَّامِلِ, as for who did not intend the absolute inclusion لِجَمِيعِ الْعُلَمَاء, of all of the scholars, بَلْ أَرَادَ, rather he meant لَعْنَ عُلَمَاءِ زَمَانِهِ, damning the scholars of his time, أو مَحَلِّهِ, or his place, for example, his vicinity, his area. وَكَانَتْ هُنَاكَ قَرِينَةٌ, and there was, in that case, a clue, qarina, a clue. That means a context. قَرِينَةٌ تَدُلُّ عَلَى ذَلِكَ, and there was some context that proves that the general statement, what was meant by it, is something specific. لما يظن بهم من فساد أحوالهم, due to what he thinks of them, of their corrupt situations. فإنه لا يكفر, for indeed, in that case, he would not blaspheme. So the context will let you know. So, and like that are other general statements. So saying all men are dogs, that's blasphemy because that includes prophets. Or saying a dog is better than a human, that's blasphemy also because it includes prophets and awliya, saints. Or saying every woman is a such and such, that's blasphemy. That includes Maryam, the mother of Jesus. All women are such and such. Or saying all of the Arabs are such and such, that would be blasphemy because it includes some of the prophets. So general statements like those, without a context to prove that what's intended by them is limited and restricted, then they remain on their generality. And the judgment of blasphemy is pronounced on the one who said them. Shaykh says, وَإِنْ كَانَ كَلَامُهُ لَا يَخْلُو مِنَ الْمَعْصِيَةِ, even though one's talk in this case is not devoid of sin, one would still be sinful. Even if he doesn't blaspheme, he cannot say, may the dam of God be upon every scholar. And let's stop there, insha'Allah ta'ala. We'll save the other half of this paragraph for next week, if Allah